All right, people, this week's episode is a big one and a true honor. We had Justin Hostynek in studio. He is one of the most iconic filmmakers in the history of snowboarding, most notably for the Absinthe Films. He's filmed some monumental moments, some very special moments in time. He talks about innovating cable cams. He talks about getting dangled from a helicopter filming the Hemsedal kicker. There's so many great stories in this podcast. I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. But before we get into the show, I want to say thank you to all of our Patreon members that support this show. I also want to let you guys know we built a whole new website and we're uploading all the new videos on a daily basis. So check out bombhole.com for all your snowboarding needs. We also got Bombhole Beatdown, our rail jam at Loon. January 10th, we got live music from Mike Rav and friends. It's going to be a great time. If you're on the East Coast, come check that out. Free to enter. We also got Bombhole Cup, March 28th and 29th at Brighton. So make your plans and save the date to get out there for that. And lastly, thank you for all the sponsors coming on board. Pacifico, Woodward, Bubs, Yeti, Nidecker, Arbor, Vans, Cole, Ikon, CAPiTA, Mammoth, Momentous, Herschel, Kodiak Cakes, Turtlebox, and ShadyRays. Thank you guys so much. We couldn't do this show without you. Without further ado, let's hit it. The Justin Hostynek episode.
You are listening to the
Hey, MFM. See you on the lift. Back attack, dude.
Bon voyage!
Get that damn car off of the hill.
Slide down them big hills. You know what I mean? On the big, nice burgundy snowboard.
Okay, welcome to the Bomb Hole. Today, co-hosting to my right, we got Shane Charlebois in studio. What's happening, Shane?
It's good to see you guys, and a special episode with Hostynek here.
Oh, yeah. You know what they say, Shane? It's always sunny above the clouds.
It really is.
And on production, we got Silk D in studio. What's happening, Silk?
What up? Happy to be here.
I'm happy that you're here as well.
Oh,
and Justin Hostynek finally made his way to the studio to do an interview with us. Justin, what's happening?
So good to be here. I've been looking forward to this for a while.
Love it. Love that you're in studio. We're going to hit the ground running with a hard-hitting question from one of our Patreon members. Silk, why don't you tee that off?
Big thanks to all the Patreon members as well. Thanks for submitting your questions. This one is from BJ Emery. Here's the question. What's your favorite clip you've ever shot? Or what is the clip or video part you're most proud of?
Hands down, my favorite clip I ever shot was of Tristan Pico in Hemsedal in 2002. We were filming for the movie Vivid, and somehow I convinced Mads Johnson's uncle, who happened to be a helicopter owner. He owned his own private helicopter, happened to be in Norway above the Arctic Circle at the right time, in the right place. And I convinced him to let me dangle off the bottom of his helicopter by 2 ropes to get this angle on a shot with a fisheye where I could lead the rider off a jump. This was way before drones or anything. It worked out perfectly with Tristan. He did this floating backside 180. And we nailed it. And it was just at the time, it gave you a feeling like nothing that I had seen in snowboarding before. So that still stands out to me as my favorite shot ever.
Sidebar question. Were you swinging around on the rope? Like, was it?
Yeah.
You're just dangling.
Well, the whole point of being beneath the helicopter is so that as we're traveling, the rotor wash would be behind us. So I wasn't getting the rotor wash. The rotor wash was actually pushing Tristan, and a bunch of other riders hit it too. Roman DeMarchi, DCP, Gigi, JP Solberg. It was a full session, but Tristan came in at the end when we'd been doing different kind of variations on the shot. And Tristan joined the session super late, and he had fresh legs, and everyone else was toast. And so we just got this dangle cam shot dialed perfectly when Tristan stepped up, and he got a couple shots with that. But back to your question, the the dangle cam was connected at 2 opposing points at the bottom of the helicopter so that I wouldn't go spinning with the rotor underneath the helicopter. And yeah, I was out of the way of the wind, but it was pretty hairball, and the pilot couldn't see me or like, and he was, he's not a professional pilot either. He was the potato chip baron of Norway and had his own really sick helicopter. But another plus was there was no anti-torque blades. He had, for anti-torque, he had air jets. So if I was to swing back into the rotor, I wouldn't get chopped up. So that was a really big plus.
Did you have comms with the pilot? No comms. Nothing. No. Just really loud.
Super loud. Yeah.
Seems hard to coordinate.
Yeah, it was, and it took a few tries, and also like taking off and landing. Like I would be standing in front of him where we had eye contact with the ropes tight, so they wouldn't get up into the blades and chop things up. So when he took off, I would walk underneath and then, get lifted off. And then also when we landed, I'd land and then walk out in front and keep the lines tight, because the worst case scenario would be pretty bad.
And you were shooting 16 millimeter at the time?
Yeah, 16 mil.
Wow, that's incredible. Well, let's run it back, Hostynek. I want to know, I don't know really where you're from. Where did you come from, Justin? Where did you come from?
I was born in Midland, Michigan, and left Midland when I was 1, so I have no memory of being there at all. Went straight to Switzerland. And grew up on a hillside where we had a ski lift in the backyard. Our neighbors, it was ghetto. It was just something they'd set up in the wintertime and then stored it in our barn the rest of the year. But we started skiing when we were like 2 and just would rip around a lot. This is way before snowboarding existed. Well, this is like in the early 70s. So I guess people were like trying it out, but we had no exposure to snowboarding at that stage. And so, yeah, I grew up in a little town called Egg, which means corner or edge in Swiss German. Spoke Swiss German in school, learned Hochdeutsch in school, because Swiss German is just a dialect it's not really a written language. And there's so many dialects in Switzerland. My mom is American, and so we also spoke English at home. So I also spoke English from early on. But we would sled to school, and we lived about 2.5 K from our kindergarten and our elementary school. So in Switzerland, you don't bring your lunch to school. So you're doing 4 lengths every day. You go home for lunch, and then you go back to school. And it was just how everyone did it. And it was a rad community of kids up on our mountain. And we'd all walk home together and sled to school in the wintertime. And yeah, a lot of hiking from kindergarten on, grade 1.
And how did it, I know you bounced around a bunch. Like, where did you go from there?
After Switzerland, we moved to Lafayette, California, Northern California. And that was really hard because we loved living in the mountains. It was full suburbia. So to get to the mountains, it was like 3.5 hours. And our parents would take us, sometimes on weekends, but I really missed it a lot. And knew I needed to get back into the mountains eventually.
At what point did you discover snowboarding?
I discovered snowboarding when I was a sophomore in high school. I saw a picture in a magazine of Jake like catching air on one of those early performers, I think. And I was like, wow. I just lit up and knew that, from coming from skiing, that would just be so fun. And so my friend Will Forte had a board, or someone had a board.
Wait a second. Are we talking about McGruber here?
Yeah. River.
What?
Legendary. Okay, so Will Forte snowboards. First of all, we're
Well,
learning that.
no, he doesn't
Huge.
snowboard. He was there.
Fake news.
We used to go up to his cabin. His parents had a cabin in Tahoe. His dad, Rebel, is such a champion. We all wanted to be Reb growing up. He was like a suburban version of Jim Morrison. Just the coolest dude. Really casual. Really good skier. And they had a cabin up there in Tahoe, and we would go there occasionally. Our friend group, Jeff Schwein, Mike Muller, and Will and I, and he had a snowboard, and we tried it out behind his house for the first time, and it was hella hard, but I knew I needed more.
What year are we talking?
86.
Damn. It's a minute ago. Tell McGruber that I love his work when you see him, please. So then how did snowboarding develop for you from there?
My friend Mike Muller was really into photography, and he was a real go-getter, entrepreneur. He was a triathlete and like knew how to pursue sponsors, and we started making a snowboarding calendar together. I knew from early on, like we took a few trips, and I learned how to snowboard in 86, and I just couldn't stop thinking about snowboarding. And I was like, I got to do this for the rest of my life. How can I do something? How can I make something so that it's part of my everyday or my focus in my life, and not just something I do recreationally? And I guess going back a little bit, I took a trip that winter to Verbier with my grandma. And she was a cross-country skier, and I was out there snowboarding by myself. There was a bunch of mono skiers and regular skinny skiers, and I didn't see a single other snowboarder. But they had these videos playing of snowboarding, like really early French dudes ripping down, and I just like watched these videos as I was in the lineup for the gondola in Verbier, and would just go do my best, and that's where I learned how to snowboard, kind of on my own. But then that just ignited the passion more, and me and my friend Mike started making snowboarding calendars, having no idea what that even takes, but no one was making one at the time. So I was like, let's just try something. And so it got me into photography. Mike was already into photography. We would take trips to like Mount Hood or Mount Bachelor. We hit up North Face for like gear. They were based right in Berkeley, so we'd take BART. We weren't even driving yet. When we first connected with them, we didn't have our own cars or anything. And so they would give us North Face, like the newest samples to go shoot. And we would just make snowboard calendars of photos of ourselves. And then I would hit up people like Avalanche and Burton and Sims and say, hey, do you have any photos that you want in our calendar? And it turned into my first photo shoot, with Damian Sanders and Tom Burt and Jim Zellers and Dana Nicholson. And one of those ended up on the cover of the calendar. And so I made snowboard calendars for 7 or 8 years. But that's like what got my foot in the door. I was a sophomore in high school. No, I was a junior in high school when I made my first snowboard calendar in 87. And Mike quickly dropped out of that. And then I just did that on my own. But it was also cool because you could just, I realized you could do whatever you want with a calendar. When you print stuff, you can put your friends' birthdays on the calendar. So like literally Will Forte's birthday is in there from 87 on. And I put in like Jim Morrison's birthday or Jimi Hendrix or, the people that I idolize. And I just realized that, there's this freedom that when you create stuff, you're the boss.
Super interesting. I'm also fascinated. I was born in '87, and if you look at snowboarding now, it is so widely accepted. It's in the Olympics. It's mainstream. But I feel like I guess I'm just curious to know what it was like being a snowboarder at that time.
It was forbidden. You couldn't, coming from skiing, I skied at Squaw Valley and Alpine, and I loved those mountains, and they would not allow snowboarders. And it was just like, oh man, I don't want to go to Soda Springs. And some of the other places were cool, but especially when they first allowed you to, because you didn't have to hike for it anymore. But
when was that they allowed it up in Tahoe?
I think Squaw Valley started, they did night skiing first, which was rad, but it was just one over by KT. They had a short lift. I can't even remember what it's called, but it was just a short run that you're allowed to do at night only. And
what's that movie? Is it The Western Front? Was that the first one?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Because I feel like Damien, when you listed those guys, they were going to town.
Oh yeah,
right out the gate.
Yeah. As soon as
have you ever seen that?
Nope.
I feel like they were sending it in Squaw, whatever year. Was that probably the first year they allowed it or something?
Yeah, probably 89, 90. When they let you on the whole mountain, it was just like this. It was Christmas every day up there because, you just had all the best terrain and the freedom to go. That was a really big deal when they opened it up to us.
What were skiers' tonality towards you guys at that time?
I don't know. It didn't really bother me that much. I don't know. I don't have that much to say about it. It felt like it was us versus them, but it just feels so stupid now.
Yeah. It's such a different place now. All right, so let's go back to, you're making calendars, you're discovering photography, creative outlet. How did you evolve from there?
Well, I moved to Santa Barbara to go to school. Stacked all my classes to be in 3 days, so Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so I could drive all the way to Tahoe from Santa Barbara. Just about every weekend there was snow. And it was just ridiculous, but I did it, but mostly on my own because there was no one else in Santa Barbara that wanted to do that. And I actually enjoyed the time driving solo and thinking things through and dreaming big. And I knew I needed to get to the mountains. And Boulder had always called me, Colorado. Just something about it. I had just a really good feeling about it. And it was before the internet or anything. Something drew me there. And so I moved back from Santa Barbara after a year and a half to live with my parents for a few months to save up. And me and Mike Muller and Jeff Schwein moved out to Boulder, Colorado together. And while I was at my parents', I worked at Avalanche Snowboards, they were in Benicia, just riveting bindings and doing menial tasks there. But I got to know Chris and Bev Sanders really well, and they were rad people. What else was I going to say? Oh, yeah, I started going to my first trade shows really early, right out of high school. And I would just dirt bag it, drive there on my own, sleep in my car, go to the look booth because they had croissants and coffee for free, and just had no money. But I made, I met Tom Sims and Jake and Chuck Barfoot and made all these great connections that lasted for so long and made a really big difference. And that really opened a lot of doors.
Yeah. At what point did you start working for Twist?
Well, so I moved to Colorado and was working there just in a snowboard shop for a bit. And then met these guys that had started Twist, Troy and Trent, the Bush brothers, and Amani King. We just became instant friends, and they had Twist. They had made these fleeces, and they were just getting it going, and we joined forces, and we started making outerwear together. We brought in this amazing artist, Evan Hecox, who had gone to school with, I think, Amani and Troy up in Fort Collins. And so he became a really big part of our image, and he's gone on to do amazing things. You know Evan? Yeah, he did the chocolate skateboard graphics. And
cool.
Yeah, he does. He's really prolific. He's done stuff for Spike Jones, and just one of my favorite artists.
Yeah, so I was talking, I think it was Gigi, he was telling me that at Twist you had a great way where you rented a car for a shoot with full coverage. Maybe you could share this story.
Yeah, it was on my birthday, actually, and we were, my friend Brittany McCory's little brother Tyler was a race car driver, and I wanted to get a shot for the opening scene of our movie. I think it was for Color. So we wanted him to like ollie this really big Lincoln Town car off the streets of San Francisco. And I knew the perfect spot because I was living in San Francisco at the time. Twist had moved from Boulder to San Francisco. And so he got in there and nailed it. Like, that thing was not meant to fly. But it caught some good air. We got a good shot. And then we pretended like it was, I think Avis or Hertz, like, sponsored our movie. When we put that shot in there as their plug.
And so when you returned it, was it all good?
Yeah, it was not all good. It was so...
Can you describe it, though? Like, what happened? You came down a hill, launched off the flat section, and then sent it down the hill? Or was it, like, over, like, the tabletop?
No, it was down, bottomed out, and then sent it, and then bottomed out, and blew out the oil pan. It totaled the vehicle. But he did it twice because he could get another lap in before the oil ran out. And then we just parked it, and it was like a quiet Sunday morning. And then we parked it and bolted. And then later in the day, we had it towed to another part of San Francisco. And then I called it in and said, "Oh yeah, I had a little accident." But I was kind of gripped. I didn't want to own a totaled Lincoln Town car.
Yeah. And then so you return the thing. They're like, yeah, full coverage. You're good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Easy. It's a life hack right there.
Full coverage.
I remember how stoked Ken Block was when he saw that. It was before any of his Gymkhana stuff. And I was working with Ken and Marcus Paulson on Blunt at the time, too. We didn't have any photos, unfortunately, but I don't know if you guys can share that clip, but be happy to give it to you.
Oh, yeah.
Consider it shared.
We want to take a second to shout out Pacifico, the official beer of the podcast. If there's ever been a beer for the ones that get out there and chase it, it's Pacifico. It's a beer that embodies going off the expected path and doing something out of the ordinary. It's for the real adventurers, which is what we're all about here at the Bomb Hole. With Pacifico, it's all about trying to find your own way. Whether that's landing a new trick or trying to find the perfect line, that's the Pacifico spirit. No matter what you're doing, whatever the challenge is, embrace it, enjoy it, and then crack open a Pacifico afterwards to celebrate. Pacifico, find your own way. 21 plus, discover responsibly. Pacifico Clara beer, imported by Crown Imports, Chicago, Illinois.
All right, Bombhole fam, I got some incredible news for you. We've teamed up with ShadyRays to bring you an exclusive offer.
Oh, yeah, Silk. And the right gear makes all the difference. That's where ShadyRays snow goggles come in. They've got the perfect goggles to get you on the mountain. Everything you need in one go without the hassle. I got a question, Silk.
Yep.
What if you want to customize your ShadyRays goggles?
That's a great question. I'm glad you asked. They got you covered there too. From lens swap options to strap options, you can build your own setup to ride exactly how you want to ride.
What if you don't like the fit of your goggles or you kind of ding them up a little bit?
That's a very reasonable worry. A lot of stuff happens out there. They got you covered with broken protection, free 30-day returns, make it easy to swap them out or just send them back.
So gear up with premium goggles built for the mountain with the style and protection you need at a price that keeps it all within reach.
Yep.
So we've teamed up with ShadyRays to bring you an exclusive offer, Silk. What is that offer?
Yeah, you can head on over to ShadyRays.com and use promo code BOMBHOLE, and you're going to get a whopping 30% off any snow goggles or polarized sunglasses.
Be confident anywhere under the sun with ShadyRays, the eyewear that has your back.
What up, bombhole? It's Jed Sky here. I have no idea where I am, but I am here with some things that you need to know, with Nidecker's Need to Know. You can win some awesome product from Nidecker Snowboards every episode for the rest of the year, such as these awesome CAPiTA hybrid boots. I love them. They're my choice of boot. They're soft enough for tweaking and stiff enough for stomping. If you haven't got your foot in a pair of Nidecker boots yet, I would definitely recommend you give them a try. In order to win something like this, just answer this question, the Bombhole's guest photo on Instagram this week. The question I'm looking to be answered is, what snacks are you putting in the bag? I need to know. Good luck, guys, and I'll see you out there wherever it is.
All right, Hostynek, we're going to jump right into a guest question from our good friend Bodie Merrill. Not Bodie Miller, Bodie Merrill. Here we go.
Yo, Justin, Bodie here. You've shared so many incredible stories with me over the years, and one that stuck with me was the time your guys' helicopter broke down and you had to stay overnight. And personally, I'd like to hear that story again, and I'm sure the people listening out there would love to hear it too. Can't wait for the episode. Love you all. Later.
Yeah, that was in 2001. Axel Paporte and Yannick Amave, and my first time filming with Jeremy Jones. We went up to Prince Rupert, and it was on the DL. There was no permits or anything, and somehow we wrangled this helicopter company who didn't really fly snowboarders or skiers because there wasn't any heli service out there in 2001. not for the kind of thing we were doing. And we'd done some helicopter adventures before, but we were also kind of on the newer side. But from what I'd done over the last 5 or 6 years, it was always a pushing the pilot to let you stay out as late as possible. And just knowing that the pilot knows what their parameters are and they know their limits when they have to cut you off. And so we pushed a little too hard. We had 2 groups, and Axel and Yannick and their guide got stuck above a waterfall coming down on the last run. It was late. We'd pushed the pilot really hard to stay out for that golden light, and they were stuck, and the pilot was starting to really lose it on me. And I was in the helicopter. I had a radio to those guys. I grabbed an extra jacket, and they had a space blanket and a candle. So I got out, and because they needed help being talked down off this cliff before nightfall, this waterfall and cliff combo. And the pilot flew away. And what I didn't know was the pilot only made it to the highway because he was so low on fuel that he had to park this. He had this gorgeous machine, like $2 million helicopter. He had to park it on the side of the highway in the middle of nowhere between Terrace and Prince Rupert. And he had to hitchhike back to town and left it there overnight. And we got stuck out there overnight, and we were not prepared. But I luckily was able to talk those guys down off the cliff. Like, how no one got hurt, no one got wet. Luckily, it was January in Prince Rupert. This is like really far north. We all got together, and Axel and Yannick are so friggin' funny together. They're just making jokes the whole time, and I think the Blair Witch had just come out, the Blair Witch Project. And so they're like tying nooses and like filming the whole thing and just making light of it. And the guide we were with, there were 2 guides. Sean Dog was the other guide. And the guide that was with us it was his first and last day of guiding. Because after that, his wife was just like, "You're cut." So he was basically just a seat filler. He didn't know what he was doing. And it was really cold, but it was also wet. so we couldn't get a fire going. So we had a really miserable night of we dug a hole, put the tarp over us, lit the candle because it would raise it maybe a degree in an enclosed area that's covered. And we just stacked, we spooned, and kept each other awake. Like I just started snowing a couple of times, people would wake me up because you get frostbite if you didn't keep moving your stuff. Then we somehow made it through that night. It was brutal. And the next morning, the helicopter didn't come back. And so we're just like, okay, it's 10 o'clock. What are we going to do? We had no idea where we were, like which way to go or anything. And so by noon, we had decided which way to set out in. And shortly thereafter, the pilot came back and picked us up. He'd had to go back to Prince Rupert and go through all these crazy list of FAA regulations. I mean, he hitchhiked back, brought gas out, flew back, then had to go through the list of to-dos to make it legal for him to come get us. And that took him all morning up until noon. Yeah, but I was so happy to see that helicopter.
Damn.
That's wild.
Did you guys think you might die when you're out there?
No, we didn't think. It was just like someone's going to get frostbite, or it wasn't a life or death situation. But had it been colder, had the vibes been worse, the vibes really went a long way.
Yeah. Sometimes when you're in the shittiest situation, all you can do is laugh, right?
Yeah. It helps.
It sounds good from here.
Yeah, it does. It's true. All right, well, let's keep talking. We'll run it back. We're bouncing around, but I want to keep hearing about how your photography career evolved.
Okay, so yeah, the photos started with the snowboard calendar. Started getting me photo shoots. I quickly realized that I could, hit up Burton and Kemper and Lamar and Sims for, $1,000 for a spot in the calendar instead of like buying. I still would buy photos from other photographers to keep it like communal. But I started selling basically sponsorships without it being in an ad, but just, something that displayed their product, and got to know a lot of people in the industry that way. Started getting photo shoots, and then was also doing a lot of shoots for Twist catalogs and stuff like that. An early photo shoot that I did actually here in Salt Lake City was the first time I ever flew in a helicopter. Was for Nitro. They had hired me to shoot because I was shooting photos of Quinn Sandvold a lot. Do you know Quinn? Okay, so he was Colorado pioneer out of Steamboat, and he rode with Tarquin Robbins a lot. They were dynamic duo, and so not really knowing the photo shoot game, I just brought Tarquin with me and to a Nitro shoot, and he's on an aggression snowboard, but they rolled with it, and it was like Tommy Delago and Katya Delago and Drew Hicken and Jeff Davis and Quinn and Tarquin. And that was the first time ever getting a heli bump. And it was so surreal to, after flying in planes a lot, traveling, just to have, it felt like the hand of God, like picking you up. It was so surreal to be lifted up like that so immediately. Still stays with me.
Where'd you go? Where'd you guys go heliing?
We went up Grizzly. Yeah, just got a bump
from
up
Snowbird to the top of Grizz, basically.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
But for a photo shoot, that's all you need, and just we'd like stop along the way and get shots, and then we hit the tail minings for sure, and that's where we got the gold.
Killer, legendary times. I don't even think you can get dropped off there anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't tried since Pop.
Yeah, totally.
Oh yeah, I was going to ask you what's the first movie that you made?
First movie I made on my own was Anthem.
Anthem.
And on my own, being like not under somebody else's wing, but I didn't make it on my own. It was like me and Marcus Paulson made that movie, and Brett Johnson was a big part of it too.
So at some point you picked up, I'm guessing a 16 mil or an 8 mil, or what was it?
Yeah, I picked up a Super 8 and a Digi, and it was mostly Digi back then, and just wanted to make stuff with twist riders. And
what year was that?
That was 93. Yeah,
93.
And also non-twist riders like Stevie Alters was in there, and Todd Richards, and some other really good riders.
Legendary. And at what time were you working at Snowboarder magazine at some point around this era, right?
Yeah, so I got my first photo published in a magazine in Transworld. Was of Todd Messick, actually. I think it was like 89. And then shortly thereafter, Snowboarder was like, hey, we'd like to run more of your stuff. And so they kind of Doug Palladini was leading the charge over there. And he made me a senior photographer pretty quick, and he made it worth my while to submit mostly to them. But it was non-exclusive, so when Blunt came along, that was so friggin' awesome. It was Big Brother came out too, and I would just be laughing so hard at photos in a magazine and just feeling so liberated. Like, people can talk about this stuff. It's so cool because it just opened a lot of horizons for a lot of people. It felt like there was no censor. There was no parents in the room, and it was so fun on the skate side for Big Brother, on the snowboard side for Blunt. And so I did a lot of stuff for Ken.
So were you a double threat where you're shooting photos and video at the same time?
Yeah. I think Two's coined the term. Jaws got his double-fisted rake, he called it. He's raking it in on the video side, raking it in on the photo side. It was kind of ridiculous because I would be carrying so much camera gear, and it was really hard to choose which one to focus on because, like, sometimes it's easy. This will be a great photo. Sometimes it's easy. This is going to make a great video shot, but it's not sustainable.
Did you ever do the rig where you're doing both at the same time?
No. I've seen it done. I don't know.
So it seems like ultimately at a certain point in time, you just said, I'm going all in on video. What did that switch look like?
It was when Snowboarder wanted to get somebody else in there as the senior photographer, and I just felt like that was the time to okay, let's just go full in on video. Because Snowboarder made it really made it attractive to not through really financially, but I just loved having my photos published, and they would give us a voice, and they would help us direct the magazine. We would have annual meetings of what the focus will be of the magazines for the year, and they really brought their photographers in a lot to help steer the course, and that was fun.
So you switched over to full-time video. Which video particularly was it when you were full-time video guy?
I think Vivid probably was the first full-time video. Yeah.
Okay, because you have the early years. You have Plastercaster, Color, The Gift, Absinthe, Black Box, 1999, great video. Tribal. Those ones feel like there was it almost felt like there was a shift when Transcendence came around, where it was I don't know, at least for me, where that one, it did feel like it was elevated a little bit. Was there a shift that happened with the filmmaking around then?
There was, yeah. It was a year after Bruce and I started working together. So I'll back up a little bit. In 1999, me and Jamie Mossberg Mouse collaborated on a movie. And I learned a lot from just posting up at his place I lived with him for 3 months. And Mickey Albin and Bruce came by because they were in part of that movie, and that's when I first met Bruce and Mickey. And Bruce and I hit it off, and then that next winter he called me up and said, "Hey, do you want to make an all-European snowboard movie?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, let's do this." And so we made Tribal. And Tribal is the only movie name I had nothing to do with. It still kind of stands out as a unique title, but it spoke to what they were trying to do with it being an all-European. Onboard Mag was the supporter of it. So it was Bruce's first movie ever that he made was Tribal. And so he learned a lot along the way. We edited that movie in France. And it was to be able to surf when we're not like in the cave editing the whole time. But what we didn't know about France in the summertime is that the ocean's basically a lake. And so we're like in this surfing mecca and there's no waves. But I stayed for a couple months there at Axel and Flora's house, and we edited the movie there. It turned out pretty good, and they were just so generous with letting us, like, we moved in on them. It was riders coming to Hasagor, not staying at their house, but like there was a lot. They gave us their whole downstairs to just take over and make the movie. And of course, Billabong and Quicksilver and Dragon and all the brands are right there. It's like the Encinitas of Europe, or it was. I'm not sure if it still is, but so I met a lot of people who ended up supporting us ever since. And then I just felt so unfulfilled by the surf side of things that I went back in October and really scored some great waves. Went to the Bilbao down in Spain, drove down there by myself and surfed like San Sebastian and some of those spots down in Spain. And I was walking around the museum in the Guggenheim in Bilbao, and I saw this installation that was like this really beautiful electronic, like rising digital motion. And so it just, that's where it triggered this transcendence idea. And it was also like, let's do this. Let's really go for this. And it was kind of like setting it was like setting the bar for what we're going to do with the movie and where we're going to go with this. And that next year, we had like Gigi and Roman and Travis came in like in the 11th hour and had the opening part. And I think that was the movie that really lived up to its name. It was like our moment of transcendence and stepping up from like, tier 2 movies to like being up there.
And what stands out for me with Transcendence, I remember seeing that for the first time. You guys came on the scene hot with that. But I'm sure you get it all the time. The bunny suit, JP Solberg, iconic, shoot, spring jump, all that. How did that idea come to fruition?
The bunny suit was all Roman's idea. I don't know where it came from, but he's like, let's film my segment in bunny suit. I was like, okay, yeah, let's do like it was partway through the movie, so that it couldn't be his whole presence. So it was the first time I drove to Alaska. And so I storyboarded this whole scene, for Mount Hood to film with him in a bunny suit. And, I was listening to Day in the Life a lot, because it felt like the perfect song for it. And so I storyboarded it to that song on my drive to AK by myself. Drove back down from AK straight to Hood. And like the week before, Roman and Kalbermotten and Nicholas and JP and a bunch of people were going to come meet up for a big film shoot at Hood. Roman rolled his ankle skateboarding, and so he couldn't do it. And I was like, no, dude, just put all this energy into like, I'm ready to do this. And he's like, oh, we get JP to do it. And so it's like, okay. And then he ended up being perfect for it. Yeah.
Incredible segment, stands out, his timeless style with that. I want to back up for a quick second, and Shane, I think you can speak on this too, but you talked about how you guys went to France and you went surfing for editing the film, and a huge staple when I spoke with everyone, and I remember Bodie used to go do it too, is when you guys would go to Kauai and edit the movie, edit the Absinthe Films in the summer and go surfing, and it was just kind of part of the Absinthe experience. It seems like there's some pretty serious intentionality around doing that. Can you talk me through why you chose to do that every year?
Well, yeah, after we first learned our lesson of not to do it in Hostynek in summer, because your editing window is going to be like July and a little bit into August. So I working for Snowboard Mag at the time, they were in the same building as Surfer Mag. So I just went over to the surfer side. It's like, hey, where's the place in the world where you can, because there's no internet basically at that time still, or very limited, 2001, where you can get FedEx and consistent surf. Because there's a lot of FedEx happening back then, like getting clips and sending stuff out and getting artwork, and they're like, oh, that's easy, Poipu. So southern end of Kauai. And so we made that our target in 2001 and just did that for, 12 years in a row. And it just became our thing. It was like the carrot at the end of the stick for all the people who really applied themselves, the filmers, the writers that really put it down, got to come out. And we hired our own chef because it made a lot more sense to fly out our own chef to do the cooking, have that be their job, and not have to go to restaurant 3 times a day or 2 times a day because it's such a time suck to go do that with a whole crew. Or it just kept the focus. We got a nice house, like really good chefs, and friends of ours, of course, and we didn't have to pay them high dollar, and we ate really well, and everyone really appreciated it. And that's how I learned how to surf, because I knew I wanted to surf in this life. And unless you spend a month, 6 weeks at it consistently, it's really hard to get there.
Shane, did you have fun at any of these?
Yeah. Yep, I think some parts of us never left. So, no, but I remember the biggest thing, at the end of each winter, you have all the clips of whatever you make, and I'm sure you can understand that too. If you don't go to a correct place for your spirit and your mind, you're just like, this sucks, because you're all beat down, But I remember so many times we'd go surf in the morning, come back, and then it's like, oh, these shots are awesome.
Tap the creative juices.
Yeah.
Tap in. Did you notice, obviously, but maybe you can speak on, like, I feel like you have to get in a really good headspace to create a film, create art, create anything. It seems like surfing is kind of a perfect medium to just throw yourself at a project.
Yeah, and to get have a physical outlet on a daily basis is also critical for creativity.
One other thing I wanted to talk about too is, like, it's got to be good motivation when it's January. It's miserable. You're not getting clips, or you're just beating yourself down. But you're like, if I get this clip, I am going to Kauai in July. So the carrot at the end of the stick seems like good motivation for the crew.
Mm-hmm.
Keep the people going.
It was amazing when the crew would meet up too, and just how the spirits would collectively inspire each other. I feel like that was huge.
People have any beers on these things?
Nope. No. No. Just water and napkins.
All right, we're going to talk about Arbor. I like what Arbor's got going on these days. They're doing big things. So Arbor has been making high-performance snowboards for nearly 30 years with a little thing called craftsmanship, and they do it with a conscience. These guys were on the sustainability tip long before it was cool, using real wood top sheets, eco-friendly materials, and giving a damn about the mountains and the planet. They're backed by one of the sickest teams out there. We're talking Jared Elston, a.k.a. Big Air Jer, Mary Francois, Red Gerard, who just won an X Games gold, Brian Iguchi, Danny Cass, and many others. Arbor Snowboarding is resetting the standard, blending high performance and sustainability with precision, power, and purpose. So whether you're straight lining like a psycho or going full dummy in the park, Arbor's got A-grade boards and bindings that you need to ride your best. So check out Arbor. They got a lot of cool stuff going on. All right, let me tell you what I'm excited about, people. These Bubs Naturals Hydrate or Die hydration packs. We are hammering these things at the office all day long. I'm drinking these on the daily, staying hydrated, whether I'm just at work or I'm out getting after it on my snowboard. And one thing people should know is that 75% of Americans are dehydrated. You're talking about losing strength, focus, endurance. You can have some brain fog. So let's hear the science. Your body needs electrolytes. We're talking sodium, potassium, magnesium to actually pull water into your cells. That's where Bubs Hydrate or Die comes in. It's based on oral rehydration solution science, a blend of sodium and glucose that pushes hydration directly into your bloodstream fast. We're talking 2 to 3 times faster than water alone. That's not hype, that's actual data. So whether you're flying, you're climbing, you're drinking, you're working, or you're just up at altitude, you're losing more than you think when it comes to water. Hydrate or Die brings it back. We're talking 2,000 milligrams of electrolytes per pack, cane sugar only, no sketchy sweeteners, and it's NSF certified for sport. It's clean, tested, and made in the USA. And let me tell you something, this new formulation tastes really, really good. So hydration's not optional. It's the cheat code to keep going. Hydrate smart, hydrate clean, hydrate or die. Head on over to bubsnaturals.com, grab a box. Your muscles, your brain, and your send will thank you. It's Bombhole approved. Let's do this. Okay, people. We're going to talk about what is one of my favorite products that I use on a daily basis, and that is the Turtlebox Ranger speaker. This thing I keep in my house. I listen to music on it every day. Here's what I like about it. It's got 12 hours of battery life. It's smaller than the other Turtlebox speaker, so you can bring it with you. It's got magnets on it. You're going golfing? Bing! Put it on the side of the golf cart. You got tunes all day long. It's also waterproof. So you can take this thing up on hill on a snowy day, blast some tunes in the parking lot, bring it out on the boat if you got one of those things. It's also drop, crush, and dust proof. It's got stainless steel attachment points, and it's perfect size to bring anywhere you want to go. So if you want to check out the Turtlebox Ranger, it's a great gift for the holidays, great gift for any loved one. Check it out at turtleboxaudio.com. We got a Patreon question about the name. Maybe you could cue that one up.
Justin, is there any story to how the name Absinthe was chosen?
Yeah, there is actually. Haven't talked about it before, but I guess this is the appropriate time to get into it. Absinthe was outlawed early on. It was used by free thinkers and artists, and it was demonized by the authorities, and I just felt like there was some connection there between how snowboarding was when I first got into it, and it was like no other name in snowboarding, and it's so seemingly unattached that it seemed perfect.
Amazing. Well, from one of your partners in crime over at Absinthe, we have a guest question from Brewsty. Here we go.
I look back at our unforgettable times together creating our Absinthe Films movies. Meeting you back in '99 and partnering with you was fundamental to our success, my friend. We went through the thick and thin together, came back from some of the most amazing snowboard moments, celebrated the biggest successes as well as going nearly bankrupt at times. We often had our disagreements, which resulted in sometimes fairly tense arguments, but in the end, probably helped the project and tightened our bond. And now comes the question, which was or were some of the most memorable disagreements?
Oh man, yeah, it's true. I think there's a real benefit there to not always be in agreement with people, because it really polishes the product when you have to work through something and you really have to build your side or accept the other side. The biggest disagreement that stands out was this Daft Punk song, because music was like really critical to all of us to like present this riding with the best possible music. And Microdose had wanted a Daft Punk song, and Brushti liked it, and I was like, we can't use this. And I really put my foot down, and in retrospect, I was being pretty childish, but I just didn't want to have that song in our movie. And we had a real disagreement about it, but we worked through it, and the song ended up in his part. And I still don't like it, but Daft Punk has made great music. We wish we'd used a different song.
What about the Muse song? Do you like it better or less than the Muse song?
Oh, they're on par. Yeah, that one was also really not my favorite, but Travis wanted it, and so it's so important to that's another part of what Hawaii, our editing trips to Hawaii brought, was the feeling of inclusivity for the riders, that they could be a part of their song selection and their clip selection and how their video part was structured, and they felt like they were a part of it. They weren't just doing the riding and then hope for the best. Like, they could veto any shot at any time, and they could make a case for any shot that they would want in there. And yeah, the end product just felt more cohesive and more communal.
When you're a production company not tied to one particular brand, and you can kind of pull any riders from the entire snowboard industry, what goes into your crew selection at Absinthe?
Crew selection is, for us, crew selection was largely based on the riders, the riders in the movie, the riders that were moving forward in the coming year, who had done a great job. They were a big part of deciding who would be in the next movie, and that felt like the best way to move forward. I mean, Shane brought probably more riders to us than anybody else aside from the riders themselves.
I was going to ask you though, what brought you and Travis together? Because I remember the year before Transcendence seeing him, and he was
Blacklight probably, or something like that.
We were, I think, in Les Diablerets in the summer for a Rosignol shoot, and I remember he was more gymnastics oriented, Mm-hmm. But then Transcendence came out, and it was like, holy shit, what happened to this dude within the last year? But what brought you guys together? Because that was monumental.
Well, it was at Super Park in 2001, and Rich Goodwin, who'd been filming for us for, I think, just a year or two, but I'd known him for a while. He brought Travis to Super Park, and he's like, let's film this guy. I was like, sure. And then he was just like such a standout. It was insane. And so this is May at Super Park. He started filming his part, and he had some really incredible clips from Super Park, but we were just like, okay, go up to AK with him in May for a few weeks, and just the two of them went for maybe 2 weeks, and he ended up with the opening part of Transcendence. We also did meet up at Hood. He came and joined us, so he had 3 locations opening part.
Damn, starting in May. That's a bit of a late start these days.
Never on schedule, always on time.
I also think when I think Absinthe, two names that are just constantly in there, you know, Nico and Gigi. When you were filming these guys in their more formative years, did you know you're like, we got something special happening here?
Oh yeah, 100%. Roman, Ingmar too.
True.
When I was his TM back in the Twist days. You just see certain explosiveness or a certain style that just really stands out and is just like instant. It's not like, well, they might at some point, like you just don't have the time to see that through when you're a filmmaker. You just got to go for the people who are really standing out the most.
I got another Patreon question here. This one's from Joseph McCarty. There are a ton of great writers that fit the Absinthe mold well, but which writer would you consider the best representation of what Absinthe is all about?
The thing is, Absinthe is about community, so it's not about one person. It's about bringing a bunch of different flavors into the pot to make something really special. That's alchemy. So it's not an individual that stands out. It's a bunch of individuals.
You know, it's funny to just add to that. 2001, we were meanwhile making Kingpin and DCP, and Jeffy and I met you guys in Hempstead when you were hanging from the heli. And I remember we stayed with you guys. We're already friends. But I remember being like, this is truly a group of international homies. Because I just remember it was just like a few of us, me, DCP, and Jeffy, then linked with you guys. And it just was like, we just connected, you know, with the reunion, whatever you want to call it. But I remember because after that trip, going back and telling Whitey, have you guys seen Orgasmo? When he's like, hey, Dad, I don't want to do hamster style anymore. And he was like, all right. I was like, man, Absinthe's pretty cool. All right. And then, you know, shortly after, we came together and met up. But that's what I remember feeling with Absinthe was, whoa, this is an actual crew of brothers that are doing this stuff from around the world. And I don't think we had seen that with a lot of other people because things were more either European-based or North American-based. That seems like what it resonates.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, going into, I think it would be cool to talk about almost like the philosophy behind your filmmaking in some ways too. Because when I spoke with Gigi, he was mentioning that a lot of the production companies would be like trick list, you know, spots, tricks. Like it was like there's a goal, there was an objective. Where he said he felt like with Absinthe, it was kind of just like blank canvas. You guys go down the mountain, I'll film it. You know, more like free flowing. Did you have an intention around like the environment you wanted to create when you were making these films?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of intention, but also there wasn't a lot of direction that I felt was needed. It was just like our job was to provide opportunities, like show them how to get to the right spot at the right time, and then see what they wanted to do there. And it wasn't always like that. I had pretty set ways of what I wanted to film, but a lot through Shane, I learned that it's about providing opportunities. And also Bud Fawcett taught me that early on with photography. He's just like get them to the spot and see what they see and then capture it. And that to me is the best direction.
What about the tagline, full spectrum snowboarding? Where'd that come from?
Full spectrum snowboarding came from wanting to show all aspects of riding and not just hitting jumps or just showing all aspects of it. So there's something for everybody just to show the dimension, the full dimension of it.
All right, we're going to talk about a great snowboard company. CAPiTA Snowboard's been banging us over the head for 25 years.
a huge milestone for an independently owned company by snowboarders who care. Recently, Silk and I got to check out the mothership, their snowboard factory over in Austria, and it was a beautiful thing. This thing is powered by 100% clean energy. They're a certified B Corp, and they make beautifully crafted pieces of equipment we call snowboards for obliterating powder. Now, when I want to obliterate powder, I ride the Navigator 162. It's soft, but I size up, so it's stable. When I ride park, I ride the Indoor Survival 156. Beautiful for a tail press or a front five. But if you want to ride like Jess Kimura or Mia Brooks, check out the Equalizer or the Birds of a Feather. Or if you want to destroy powder or all mountain, like Kevin Backstrom, Miles Fallon, or Arthur Longo, check out the Mercury or the Aeronaut. Their whole new collection is live on their website. Check it out and have a great season. Good day to you all. Okay, picture this. One day you're chasing POW, the next street skating in a city you don't even live in. Whatever your vibe is, chill, bold, classic, wild, Cole makes headwear that adapts because style's not a fixed thing. Cole Headwear. However many hats you wear, make them Cole. And I'm also currently wearing a bonnet provided by Cole Headwear. Let me tell you, this thing is clean. So check out coleheadwear.com. And remember, however many hats you wear, make them Cole. All right, I'm going to fire up another guest question here. Right. This one is from Vlad. Here we go.
Hey, Justin, Vlad here. Can you tell us the story about Rama breaking the bar window in Haines and how you bailed him out? And also, can you tell us more about Mark Frank Montoya and yourself being in Alaska for many times, and how was the vibe and how was to work with Mark Frank up in AK?
All right, yeah, for sure. The Roman broken window scenario was so unfortunate because we'd been waiting out a long weather window, and we were going to drink it blue, and he had a moment and smashed a window at the Pioneer Bar in Haines, and police came and he resisted arrest, and so he was jailed, and then it was Bluebird for like 4 days, and it was Nicholas and Jonas Emery, I believe, were the other two riders there, and he was like in the jail cell looking out at Bluebird Mountains. You can see the mountains from the Haines jail. So yeah, just he had to go to court and jump through a bunch of hoops, but yeah, it was really sad scenario. But then the same policeman who he had tried to fight was a big fellow, and he agreed to let us film. He was part of the skit for Roman's part that year in Saturation. So we had him standing, like looking over Roman in his orange suit, picking up trash on the side of the road, because he had to pick up trash as part of his civic duty for quite a while to make up for his blowing it.
And you guys succeeded at drinking it blue. Drinking it blue, always an interesting philosophy, you know?
Yeah, it tends to work more often than not. Or maybe it's just you forget about the times it didn't work.
Mm-hmm. But that back then, you know, I feel like we turned the dial because sometimes you had to drink it stormy, and then sometimes you had to drink it blue. So it really depended on where you were going with it.
Yep, well said. Part two of the question was about film. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, just wanted to also interject that was actually the first time we went to Birthday Bowl while he was in jail. And it was, I believe it was Nicholas's birthday. So that's why it was named Birthday Bowl.
Pretty magical session ensued, eh?
Yeah. And actually Jonas Emery brought a sled and went headfirst down Birthday Bowl on a sled. That's down during that time.
Is that the clip that there's a snowmobiler going like 100 miles an hour and then it torpedoes and tomahawks?
No, that was in Transcendence. That was Jay Nelson. He got his sled airlifted into the mountains and straight lined it down a chute, and that was really scary.
Dude, he hit the old like Avi debris that was like snowed over and just grenaded, right?
Yeah, and he went end over end. He could have definitely had his head knocked off by his sled. They went tumbling, luckily.
Yeah, how many tomahawks?
I didn't count, but yeah, you can see it in the closing credits of Transcendence.
Iconic. Part 2 of the question was, what was it like filming Marco in Alaska? And speak on that.
Oh man, I just love watching Marco ollie. I could just do that all day long, and there's so many good ollie spots up there. And he just took to Alaska so naturally. He's not really, he doesn't need a booter to shine. And yeah, just watching him ride anything is seriously fun. When I dream of like riding like somebody, when I'm out there on a powder day, I try to channel my inner MFM.
Vlad was mentioning that he would like fly back and forth from Alaska and come and go and come and go, and it was kind of tricky to get clips of him.
Yeah, he had a lot of obligations, or thought he had a lot of obligations, and he tried to nail some windows. He got a few. Yeah, we got some great moments of him in Alaska, but I think we would have got a lot more if he had just come and stayed put, because that to me is the best way to experience Alaska, is like to really tune in and not just come in for the highlight days, because then you're ready for when the days are cracking.
Well, let's talk about that, because in Alaska it's not cheap to go snowboarding, because generally you're using a helicopter. What kind of budge? Peak years, what kind of budge we burn in an AK on heli?
Well, we would combine our budgets with the riders, just so we could come in with some force and have some sway, and so we let the heli companies know up front what we're talking about, and that was part of it. But also we would show up every year, so we definitely got some preferential treatment. But we're looking at like 200, 250 sometimes peak. 250K.
Whew. Damn.
But I mean, we're talking 2 heli loads for 2 months, you know. And we didn't have private ships very often, but sometimes when it was on and you needed a private ship for 2 heli loads, then we'd do that. But we were really careful with our heli use. We'd like go out and work a zone and not try to fly too much, and keep the groups together so there's not a lot of taxiing back and forth for heli bombs. And there's a lot of little tricks to saving money when you know how.
Absolutely.
That's another question about AK. What first brought you to Haynes?
Well, what first brought me to Alaska was Craig Kelly and Dan Donnelly. Should we go there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, I mean, of course, I looked up to Jamie Lynn and Craig and Sean Palmer. Those are like the guys back then. And Craig called me out of the blue and said, "Hey, do you want to go to Alaska?" And I was like, yeah, you know, I had no idea what it meant, but went up there with him and Dan Donnelly in 93. And that turned into an annual ritual for 25 years, or long time. He just opened my eyes to a lot of things. Also with photography, he was a writer who also could have been a photographer, because he knew where to be. He knew about light, how to use light. He taught me a lot about light. It's pretty unique to have a writer that's that tuned into what it's going to look like when he does something, and not just be, you know, writing his best, but also knowing where to do it and how to do it and how it all lines up is pretty special.
Amazing. I think about with Absinthe too, the evolution of riding Alaska too. It seems like in the early years, it was a lot of people doing big lines. They were just riding big Alaskan lines. And then, as you mentioned, Birthday Bowl and things like that, there seemed like the big mountain freestyle really started to take shape in the Absinthe Films. As a filmer, do you prefer filming people just get after it on lines or big mountain freestyle? Where are you at with that?
Well, for me, it was always pretty boring to watch just people ride a line. I needed some freestyle in there. And so I made it pretty clear to the riders that I worked with, like, you know, if there's a spin in there somewhere, then that's going to make the movie. But if it's just a line, it's going to be harder. I'm not going to, if there's something interesting about it, sure, you know, like Axel's straight lining the French fry, or there are exceptions to that rule, but I really felt like the progression of snowboarding was bringing freestyle to the big mountains. And so I was pretty vocal about that.
Incredible. I want to jump into Pop, because that video part in particular, the ender segment, is Travis Rice, iconic Chad's Gap session, iconic Pyramid Gap session, first ever front 10 double cork. You know, this was like a big time, in my opinion, coming of age, Travis Rice has arrived video part, took the entire snowboarding scene by storm. I want to get into your head as you guys are filming this part. What's it like witnessing this kind of greatness unfold? What's going through your head around the time of filming Travis in this pocket?
Well, it was Shane who orchestrated all of that. You know, starting with Pyramid and working our way up to the Chad's Gap, and having the right combination of people. It was Travis and Roman pushing each other. It was that synergy that made that possible. So, and it was a big build for both of those scenarios. We posted up in Utah for months that year, and it was great. We did other stuff too, lots of other stuff with Trevor and Keir and Coulter and et cetera. But again, it was just about making providing opportunities and having the right people for the opportunities, and giving them the right guidance and having the right timing.
Do you think it was also that their dynamics, how they would, I felt like, you know, Roman would be like, oh, are you here to fucking show me up? And then he'd go bigger, and then Travis would go bigger. But in a positive way, it seemed like that year was kind of the pinnacle of that.
Yeah.
What would you say?
Absolutely.
Like that double line in below Caffeine there, where they were just going to town. Like one of the sickest double lines ever.
Yeah. And yeah, surprisingly, Travis didn't land any of the doubles. And so we never got to see that in the movie. But he was definitely pushing Roman's combo doubles.
I love it. I also love the fact it's been told on here before, but riding Chad's Gap with a heli bump. Were you in the chopper filming that stuff?
I was, yeah. So I obviously the energy the riders need to hit it a few times is going to be they're going to have so much more energy if they get heli bump, and so that was why they got heli bumps. And the powder birds are right there, so it was a cheap heli day, and the session only lasted maybe, I don't know, an hour and a half or something, and it made it possible for them to just focus on the tricks they wanted to do, and they rattled off several tricks each. That was really what made that possible, and all the care that went into making that in run. Like, it was a highway. It was so smooth and so solid. Yeah, pretty special.
Iconic. Another standout moment for me as a consumer of the Absinthe Films, a game-changing moment, was when you guys started setting up cable cams to film backcountry pillow lines. Where did the idea for that come from?
Well, starting with photography, it's always been about getting angles that we haven't seen, or like showing something that we haven't seen, something that gets an emotion out of the viewer. And so, I would climb trees and film riders hitting jumps from trees, or I had my friend Christian Schneider build a pole cam where he could he's this big dude, super strong. He had this tiltable pole cam with a 16 millimeter at the end of this 20-foot pole. And we got some sick shots in Japan of DCP, just alling through powdery trees. So that was kind of the evolution of that. And then I met Chris Osnes, and he kind of showed us how to make the cable cam situation happen. And then, we got into that when we were making more. We put in a lot of time, dialing that in, and there was some really close calls to it could have been really bad. Where the crew that was, because I'm on a upside down skateboard with track tape on it to keep from sliding off, and there's and I'm being held by two guys, and then they just let go. And then they slow me down with their gloves as I'm getting closer to the end of the shot. But a lot of these shots that we wanted to get were so steep that they'd not be able to slow me down, or just mistime it. And there's this one shot of Kurt Wastel where he's just doing this sick ollie, and the shot turned out so beautifully. He does this great ollie, lands, pow slash, and then if you look for it, you can see that I hit the end of the line. My camera, this Bolex, is this big piece of metal, just rips out of my hand, and luckily it didn't land on Kurt, who's below me. But it was like being in a car accident. I got jacked. I mean, I was okay, and I was able to keep going, but it was definitely an adventure pushing those boundaries, and we got really lucky.
So you climb up in a tree. I'm not a big rock climber. I can't even imagine doing this. You climb up in a tree, you rig up a rope, and you tie it to another tree, and then you're just hanging on a skateboard, and you have a guy hold a rope, and you hold a 16 millimeter. And that was your rig.
Well, when you say it like that,
right? That's what it sounds like.
Well,
that's exactly it.
That's exactly it. So we'd have really strong cables attached to two trees. But inevitably, when you have the weight of a human my size on this thing, you're going to dip down super low. So we'd have to tie off trees, pull them back, and tie them off to other trees to get that tension strong enough to keep you high enough. So it was a setup. Probably that shot of Kurt took us 2 weeks to line up. And this kid, you probably know Ash Christensen. Mm-hmm. He was instrumental in doing all that. And so he and Gigi both hit that. But Kurt got the best shot.
And what about that Nico shot up in Shangri-La?
Oh, yeah. So then, after learning and surviving that year of when we were filming for more, I moved to Canada in 2000. No, I went to Canada in 2007 and met Caleb Patterson, and then he became my cable cam rigger. And we did trips to the Austrian Dam together, and we set up this cable cam in Shangri-La, this secret spot up in the Kootenays, and Blair and Nicholas hit it, and that was a really good setup. And the thing is, we would do it in remote spots so that you could film it and then let it snow again, and then go back again 2 or 3 weeks later. And so the idea was to because it's such a big setup, that you set it up not just for a single take, but you get some distance out of it.
From a rider's perspective, seems like an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, it took some patience. Yeah. But they also saw what to me is incredible is that Kurt and Gigi had the patience being the guinea pigs for that. Because, you know, you don't see, when you're shooting 16, you don't see your film sometimes for a month or two to see what it's actually looking like. And there's a lot of, it's like painting in the dark, as Shane always said.
It's like painting in the dark.
Painting in the dark, yep. Oh, I was just going to say, because then there was also the Brighton one and the Snowboard one. And those ones were tough because there was kind of a timeline to that.
Yeah.
And I don't, you know, you were saying like how long it took all those to set up. That was, it seems like those were pretty incredible things. Because going back to Chris Hostynek, he had set up the cable cam across the Snowboard half pipe. And was that before that?
He had done cable cams on his own, and then he did Coulter's Gap for Feature Proof, I think. And so,
you know, it's like a poor man's cable cam is when people film from the chairlift when you're going up.
Yeah,
it's kind of like a cable cam, but you're just sitting on there. Those are always
thick
iconic.
cables.
Yeah, it is a cable. It is a cable cam. Yeah.
No, but now it's just funny what people think of to get that kind of shot. You just pull out a drone, you know. But really, what it took, that was next level.
The dark ages. That's a good question to lead into. You know, thinking about you grew up making calendars, shooting photos on film, shooting Bolex 16 millimeter. You have to shoot the film. You can't see it. You have to get it developed, and they ship you the thing. Then you watch it. You get it digitized. There was just like such a more hands-on analog feel to filmmaking and photography. You fast forward to where we are now. You know, you have drones, you have red cameras, you can film everything with your phone. What are your high-level thoughts on how the medium has evolved?
I think it makes everything so much easier. It makes it a lot easier for way more people to make really interesting footage, but there's so much interesting footage out there that it's just really hard to make something that stands out in a sea of interesting stuff.
Perfectly articulated.
Let's go back a little bit to more cable cam, because there's other pretty sick stories. So Caleb Patterson and Eric Brandt. Eric Brandt was a filmer for us for a number of years for Absinthe, and Vole has this special access to this massive dam in Austria. His dad was part of the system there, and so he had the codes and the keys to get through like several gates to get to the base of this insanely huge. It feels like you're looking at this giant cement wave breaking over you. It's like 600 feet or 700 feet tall. And he had ridden along the side of it because it's like dirt up to this dam, and then you can, when it's snow, you can like do like laybacks on the dam, and it lines up perfectly sometimes when the snow's right, actually pretty often. And so the idea was to do a cable cam there. And so in order to hang a cable cam, you have to put bolts into the dam. So we got permission to actually drill a giant diamond drill into the dam to hang points. And this climber down climbed from the very top to like put in the first bolt. And then we set up this cable that was a pretty long run. He got to do like a couple slashes. And that was probably my favorite cable cam moment, because it was just I got to lead him down it. I got to be looking backwards, and I'm looking through my camera, so I'm just hoping for the best. Because I'm going over like little cement buildings and whatnot. But they set this whole thing up, and I just kind of rolled in to shoot it in a really short window. I'd been filming with Roman and JP and some of the other guys in Switzerland and Vlodica, and just headed to Austria for a couple days for like a 1-day shoot there, and he nailed it. But it was such a rough surface that it just like would rip up the base of his board. It would rip up his gloves. So there weren't that many takes, but it worked out really well and some exceptional footage.
All right, people, I got to come clean. I've been making fun of my friends for years for drinking creatine, but I'm a hypocrite because now I personally love chugging creatine. Here's why. If you're out riding all day, it's one of the best things you can take. It's great for strength, recovery, and even mental focus. And Momentous makes the cleanest creatine on the planet. We're talking no fillers, no junk, just pure CreaPure in these new lemon travel packs. They're great. You just throw them in your pocket, mix them up with some water. Great consistency. They go down smooth. I love them. And that's why pros, Olympians, and even the U.S. military trust Momentous. So go to livemomentous.com, drop in the code BOMBHOLE, and you'll get up to 35% off your first order. And you too can become a creatine believer like myself. Okay, people, we're talking Kodiak cakes. Everybody knows they make great pancake mixes, but they also make frozen waffles, which I feed my child regularly. They got muffin mix, they got oatmeal, they got granola bars. All the products are made with protein and whole grains to keep you fuller longer. I like to hammer the oatmeal before going out snowboarding all day. They also got these crunchy bars that you can keep in your pocket, keep you out there sliding rails, hitting park jumps all day long. And new to this year, they got Kodiak granola, which I keep in my cupboard. I've been hammering this on the regs. It's delicious. I've been eating so much granola, I might even become a rock climber. Who knows? It's tasty stuff. So you can find Kodiak at almost every grocery store. They're the ones with the bear on the box. Let's talk about J-Rob.
Yeah. How he got into the Absinthe crew is pretty unique. Lucas Dabari had been talking him up, and this is the year we were filming Dopamine. And he joined us in March to like start making, like late March, to start making his video part. And what really got me more interested in him was, he'd done well at LBS. I think he placed third. But he'd done bell to bell over 100 days just riding that year before he filmed with us. And so I was just like, that's what it takes. Like, more time on snow really, really shows up on film. You can have the most talented snowboarder who hasn't been out riding much and it's just not worth watching. But he's super talented, and he had no project. And so we invited him in, and we filmed with him for a couple months at Eagle Pass and AK, and he ended up with the opening part. And it really put him on the map.
Absolutely. Kind of crazy to think going to a resort snowboarding first chair to last chair for 100 days. So that's like one of those days is a lot of snowboarding.
Yeah, in March. He had done over 100 days because he had done over 80 days when he did LBS. And then he joined up with us like a month after that. And yeah, what also stood out about that year was his opening shot was I wanted to somehow be outside of the helicopter, showing that for me the most exciting part of filming snowboarding from a helicopter is when they get out of the helicopter, because it's such a thin line between life and death. And sometimes the rotor blades are real close to the rocks, and like one sudden shake, or it can be all over. You all go tumbling down and it's over. But to film that moment is such a privilege. And so I wanted to find a way to film it, not just being, in a seat or, looking out the window. But so I harnessed in and stood on the skid, leaning backwards out so that I could film through the helicopter of, him pulling his board out as he's getting out on this peak. And as the helicopter takes off, I can lower my camera down and show him, and then we take off and it reveals what he's on. So that was a really special situation that I was trying to orchestrate for, finding the right time to do that. And that was on the very last day of filming in Alaska that year. And I had a flu and I was sick as a dog, but it was going to be then or never. And so that ended up being the opening shot of J-Rob's part, opening shot of the movie. And it worked out super well.
Worked out great. Damn, Hostynek, I'm noticing a theme here. You just like to harness yourself to sketchy shit, everywhere, whether it's a cable or it's a helicopter, generally a helicopter, or you're just addicted to harnessing yourself in to film sketchy shit with a 16 mil. It seems like. No way. No, I have a fear of heights. Actually, I do not like standing on the edge of a cliff. It gives me the willy. I got to get down on my chest to look over the side of a cliff. But it's just a matter of tuning stuff out and focusing on what you're trying to accomplish. And sometimes that's what it takes to get that extra thing that no one's seen before. And I think that makes a difference. And I don't enjoy putting myself in sketchy situations at all. But I do feel like it is a privilege to film scenarios that are where there's danger.
Speaking of, what about the moment of Manuel from the cover of Heavy Mental? Well, I feel like for people that haven't been to AK, that represented such a ridiculous looking mountain. The flutiness and you just don't see that anywhere.
Yeah.
But in AK. And it just seemed like that when you were saying about strapping into sketchy looking stuff, I feel like a lot of times in AK, what I've learned with you and from you is you do have to focus on your desired outcome. Sometimes just put the camera to your eye so you can't see everything. It's true,
Oh, it is true, yeah.
I mean, and I learned that from you, and it's, you're there to do that. But something like the Manuel moment ended up being the cover. I think Andrew Miller was next to you.
Yep.
And that just seems like for most people, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, because there's really no way down, but somehow he made it down. Yeah.
The words just don't do it.
No.
That's amazing.
All right, we're going to get into a segment of the show. Silk, do you have any idea what this segment might be?
I got a feeling this is going to be named That Video Part.
All right, Hostynek, how you feeling?
I'm going to do terribly.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't believe you.
That's okay.
What's your confidence level, 0 through 10?
1.
Okay. Well, let's see how you do. Here we go.
It's time to fly the finger, yeah. That middle digit brings your point and it drives it home.
Tristan Pico.
Woo!
Vivid.
Congratulations.
That was easy. That was a gimme.
Yeah, but it kind of just had to give it had to revisit that track. It's kind of a heater. You won something. You got a bag on the ground thanks to Herschel. You got some Bombhole merch in there. You would not be leaving with that if you messed it up. So yeah, glad you got it right. Next question is for our listeners. This song, if you know the rider and the part, comment on the photo of Justin on our Instagram. That's where we pick our winner. Silk, what do you get if you win?
You get a sticker that says, I won Name That Video Part, and all I got was this stupid sticker.
That's correct. Here we go. Okay. Thank you guys for playing Name that video part.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break with some hot takes presented by Mammoth Mountain.
You know what, Silk? I love that.
Okay, first question, favorite park?
I'm going main park, high-speed quad, hot laps. You're lapping all day, getting reps up. Main park, final answer.
Okay, I like that. Next question, favorite feature?
Favorite feature is just going to be the jumps. Small, medium, and large. They're all perfectly built. Can't go wrong with the Mammoth jump.
Most iconic feature?
That's got to be the deck rail. That thing's been in rotation for over 2 decades. Shane Flood did a switch hot garbage on it back in the day. A little fun fact.
Okay, favorite session?
Favorite session, I got to witness some super park sessions, but the one that sticks out to me that's really iconic is the Danny Cass eyeball jump session.
Wow. Favorite shot from a video?
I'm going Danny Cass switchback rodeo eyeball jump bondage.
That's a good one. Last question. Favorite thing about Mammoth Mountain?
Just good people over there. Good people, great parks, high-speed quads. I love it in the spring personally. Slushy park laps. You can't beat it over at Mammoth Mountain, Silk.
Yeah, if you're looking for a good time, check out Mammoth Mountain.
We'll see you there.
All right, Shredders, listen up. With over 30 years in snowboarding, Vans continues to deliver top-shelf snowboard boots for not only their diverse roster of athletes, but everyday riders worldwide. There's literally something for everyone in the Vans range of snow gear. However, we're here to talk about the Infuse, Vans' most popular, all-terrain, all-condition boot, featuring hybrid BOA and lacing systems that are built for maximum customization of fit and flex. Embraced and backed by new-gen riders like Ken and Cummins, the Infuse is designed for performance that stands up in any terrain. So hit up your local Vans dealer and check out the Infuse and the rest of the 25-26 Vans Snow lineup.
Hey, Silk. Your haircut looks great. Do you want to do a Patreon question?
Wow, thanks, Chris. Yeah, I'd love to. This question is from Sims Brothers. Hey, Justin, the music in your films is legendary. We're still playing those tracks today. How did you find songs that fit so perfectly with the snowboarding and the vibe you want to capture?
Well, it was a group effort. It was the riders, it was the filmers, it was all of us getting together and selecting the best, most fitting, and sometimes the least likely is what stands out. You know, like Nina Simone, Cinderman, is like such a perfect track for Gigi. That's one of my favorite moments in Absinthe history, and it's so much because of the song. So yeah, we had a lot of collaboration on that, and I feel like that's really what makes our movies stand up over time is the music, because you hear a song come on the radio or whatever, and it takes you back to that video part. But it also, when you're watching it, it gives it a level of timelessness.
You know what stands out as you were talking to is the Romaine, more money, cash coming out of the ceiling, Radiohead song playing. Can you walk us through the conceptualization of that part?
Yeah, well, actually, it started off with Tina Bassich teaching some of the Radiohead guys how to snowboard. And so I was like, and I was a big Radiohead fan, so I was like, do you think you would ask them if, and she did, and they said, yeah. And so I said, would you ask them if we could use another one? And they said, yeah. So we used, this is in Transcendence. We used two Radiohead songs. And then I even asked them for a third one. They were like, nope, that's that's all you get. Because the bunny suit segment, obviously cut to the Beatles. CAPiTA wanted $400,000 for that song, so that wasn't going to happen. So I re-edited it to Optimistic, the Radiohead song, and I got denied, so that never came to light. But so that's how that started off, and then Tina also was friends with the Beastie Boys, and they came to her when they came out with one of their albums and said, we want our music to show up in one skate video, one surf video, and one snowboard video. What snowboard video should we allocate? And she's like, yeah, obviously Absinthe. And so we had that door open, which is a really big door. And so once you have like big names on your roster like that, it makes it a bit easier to attract other musicians, other artists. And so that was really monumental for Absinthe. Like Tina opened that door wide for us. And so then when we wanted to use another one the next year, they approved that too. And again, I just like driving back and forth from Tahoe to San Francisco, visiting my parents. I would just like listen to that the Paranoid Android song. And, that's the stuff that came into my head. So we filmed it.
So you conceptualized that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Yeah, incredible. And then Bodie kind of did a node to it later, right? In one of his parts. It was kind of similar. I don't remember the movie, but
the Gucci Man song.
Is that what it was? Yeah, well that. But I feel like he did a thing where he had like the Romaine, that classical song. That's a great track.
Yeah.
What about when Bodie rode to the techno song? Were you a fan of that one?
No, that was a real low point.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky.
True.
But that was definitely a miss.
I was going to say, how wild is it nowadays? So many snowboard movies, they're not paying for any music, and how times have changed. Because I feel like many times in those summers when it's like, this is the best song ever, and then you get denied. That depression of just like, oh man.
Yeah,
like
remember Cocard's part for Turbo Dojo? Until he like made his own part, or his own music for his own part, which turned out to be so good. Yeah. But we got denied on like a lot of songs. He wanted a Queen song, and that should have been attainable, but we didn't know that the Queen movie was coming out the next year, so they just said no and wouldn't give us a reason why. But we had like conceptualized a whole thing, and he had filmed a bunch of it to go with that song, and then we got shut down, and we tried other songs, and just closed door after closed door, and then the gold just happened. He brought the gold.
He mined the gold himself. Well, we were just talking about Tina Bassich. We actually have a guest question from Tina. Here we go.
Hey, Justin, it's Tina Bassich, just chiming in here with a question for you. I owe so much of my snowboarding successes to you and the space that you gave me to be on your cruise and photograph me throughout my career. I know that it wasn't so easy for women to get on film crews back in the day, and I'm just forever grateful that you gave me a chance. And I thought you would share some fun stories about giving me a seat in those helicopters up in Alaska and how important that was for me as a professional to be able to show up in those moments, and also talk about the photos that we got from those trips and how you continued to advocate for me and march those photos right into the magazines. Okay, can't wait to hear the bomb hole. Love ya. Bye.
Wow, yeah, what an exceptional girl. They had it really friggin' hard in such a man-driven world. Late 80s, early 90s, to be heard and get any budget for anything, and she and her friends really made a really big impact. People like Shannon Dunn and Lisa Hudson, and just on so many different fronts, but like starting female outerwear brands, and I'm really, really going the full length with that. It was a pleasure having her on on the crew for several years. Bringing her up to Alaska initially to photograph her, and then also to film her for probably her best part was Transcendence, and she was there the first year we went to Haines, and she was there at the very beginning. It was her and Axel and Yannick, and Tom Burt was our guide, and Bruce Griggs was our guide for a bit too. So we were naming stuff because it hadn't been named, and there's this one place in particular called Buns of Steel, and it's this like amphitheater of incredible potential, and it's vast. There's so many lines down, and it's really long, and you're just toast by the time you get to the bottom. And so she's like, "Oh, let's call it Buns of Steel." And so yeah, she named a few things up there, and some things were named after her. But yeah, she was definitely pushing it because it was still kind of earlier days, and really glad she made it out of. She got in some tight situations, but made the right call, and is still here with us today.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking on kind of that same topic, there's a few friends, a few people in our space that have passed away in the mountains, and Tristan being one of them. I know that rippled really heavy through your crew. Would you like to speak on what it was like for you guys losing Tristan?
Yeah, the last time I saw him was the day that we filmed that dangle cam shot in Hemsedal, and then the next winter he came to film with Travis and Iguchi and our filmer Rich Goodwin up in Jackson, and they were just warming up, having fun, doing sled laps, and just a freak little slide, nothing big at all, but it just all lined up in the wrong way, and he passed from that. I was devastating. Because we were so used to, I guess, getting lucky. We were definitely had a lot of safety precautions in place by that time, like well before that time. But it was just such a freak accident, and it really reset everything.
Heavy.
And then we all went to his burial service in France, and met his parents, and yeah, it was really hard, but important. So like when we lose people, we might lose them on this plane, but we can bring them with us into the mountains when we go enjoy our life out there. And also we can remember them in other ways. And so we always would end all of our movies with a little clip of Tristan, just as a little remembrance.
Yeah, that's really special. Good reminder that you can still bring them with you. I like hearing that. And to continue along, to change gears on a topic that I think is right up there with the Mount Rushmore of iconic absinthe moments. The Nelson footage that you guys got when you guys got the key to the city was really special with Gigi and everyone else. Or I guess Gigi got the cover of the movie and whatnot. But at any rate, can you talk us through how that whole thing unfolded?
Okay, yeah. So first time I went to Nelson, I'd been hearing about it for years. I got hired to go shoot a movie that I didn't make on my own, like in 92. This guy, Richard Bell, he's a music video producer. He did like YouTube videos and stuff. He's like, I'm going to make a snowboard movie. He hired me, Tim Wendell, Tarquin Robbins, Sheen Campos, Wes Makepeace, just a motley crew. Quinn, yeah, I said Quinn. Brought us to Roslyn, which is really close to Nelson. And then Wes was on the crew, And we were filming there. The movie turned out horrible. Don't want anyone to ever see it, so I'm not even going to tell you the name of it. I had nothing to do with anything other than I learned how to shoot 16 on that project. But Wes Makepeace, I got to meet him for the first time there, and he kept talking about Nelson, and it's this steep town, and it snows there, and you can ride down the streets. It's so fun. And so that was my very first like glimpse of like this place exists, but we never went. And then fast forward to 2001, Craig Kelly was living there, and he'd been living there for a while. He'd just had his daughter Olivia, and he was inviting me to come up and shoot. I think it was at Baldface. Yeah, it must have been at Baldface. It was like the early years of that, and it just never quite lined up. So then when he passed, like Jeffy, Craig, Tristan all passed within like I think a month of each other. It was just like devastating blow after another. Unbelievable. So it was always in my mind, like this place, I've got to go. I got to go check it out. And then we were in 2007, Roman was coming over to spend some time with me in Tahoe, and, you know, typical, it would dump and then it got warm. So we're like, where should we go? And we just like practically like spun a globe and just, all right, let's go to Nelson. And I didn't really know Jeff, but I called him up and said, hey, I'm going to bring a couple people up there. And so we converged 2 full crews, me and Vladika, and we were going to go for maybe 10 days or something, just have a big crew session, Baldface, maybe some Kootenai Mountains. We had really no idea what we're getting into, but because I'd heard about it from Craig, I knew it was something special. But I didn't know. So I went for 10 days and stayed for 2.5 months. And just, I met Kate like within the first 3-4 days of being there. She was working at Baldface at the time. And so I just had more riders come there, and I just stayed. And Gigi came after the first load of crew had like come and filmed, and they bounced. And Eric Brandt was up there with me, and Gigi just arrived, long bus trip, and we were taking it easy. It was snowing in town. There was a bunch of snow on the ground, and Gigi goes outside and he's like, I want to ride these streets. And it's like, okay, it's going to be hard to do without getting shut down pretty quick, but we tried it. We were staying at the White House, this like not Airbnb, it was like this bed and breakfast place. And sure enough, we went and we were filming in the streets right above the White House, and we got shut down almost immediately. And the owner of the White House at the time, he's like, why don't you just go talk to the mayor? And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, you know, this town has a big history of like filmmaking. You know, Roxanne was filmed there. It kind of put that place on the map initially. And so we went, and me and Eric Brandt sat down with the police chief and the mayor and presented our idea. And they said, yeah, sure. And so they let us, you know, just go session the sidewalks, pretty mellow style, with Gigi initially. But it was really an iconic moment of like just having fun, accessible fun in a place that's ultra accessible. And that kind of started that. And then maybe a year or 2 years later, J.P. Auclair filmed a bigger segment, for a ski segment, also in those streets. And it grew from there. And then we went back again with Jaeger and with
Sweeten, right? Is he involved?
Yeah, Sweeten, Jaeger, and Worm. And we got it opened up even more. Like they just they let us shut down city a whole city block. And so we could drive down the wrong side of the road while I'm hanging out the car window filming. You know, it's like a car cable cam. And we got some really great shots that way. But the city was just so chill, and they like just abide by the rules. You got to block it off. You got to tell us how long you're going to be there. And so we're really careful to be very communicative, and it opened a lot of doors. And then the culmination of that was Keys to the Castle. We got to go up to Baldface for a day and Sweeten. I think it was his first time there. It was definitely Worm's first time there. And had this idea of, you know, Craig's sword. People call it Craig's cross, but it's really a sword. It's like sword buried in the ground. And I hit up Jeff like the day before Craig's day of his Memorial Day, basically. And said, hey, what do you think? Could we come film this shot? We'd love to incorporate Craig's cross. And he's like, you know what tomorrow is, right? And I was like, yep. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. And so we went up, rallied early in the morning, set this thing up. It had to be a toe-in because it's like perfectly flat. You can't get any speed to this statue that actually my friend Keith Barron's made. A really beautiful piece of art. And so we set it up. Jeff built the takeoff, and it was like one of those cloudy powder days. The pow was so good that day. But the sun was like, don't know if it's going to line up or not. And so we had everything ready to go. And we were just like, oh, let's go take some pow laps. And so we did, and had so much fun. And then we went back there and just hung out for maybe an hour, just telling stupid jokes. And then it just opened up like just before sunset. And Austin did a Miller. Worm did some really sick stuff too, but it was more impactful to just use, because we used that shot to end After Forever. It was the very last shot of the movie. He had the ender part, rightfully so. And so we had to withhold basically Worm's shots on that of that moment to lend the impact that it would have to end the movie on that. It's called killing your darlings, like to hold back like the good stuff to make the best stuff truly shine. And Worm was on board with it. He had a really great presence in the movie that year. So he was not like needing shots by any means. And he was just so stoked to have made it to Baldface for his first time. And yeah, it was really, and we stayed in Craig's room, and it was a really complete session.
And the photo that came of that, really special.
Yeah. And that was the first time I met Dustin Lalick, who shot that photo. We had our own photographer with us, and I shot the wide, you know, the shot we ended up using, and I was like to our photographer, I hope you nailed it. That was pretty insane. And he showed me what he had, and I was just like, no, it was like not really framed well, or I don't know, it just wasn't like the full potential. And then Dustin happened to be there too, and he's the Baldface photographer, and he showed me what he got, and I was just like, yes, that is our cover. Like instantly I knew that was our cover for the movie. And yeah, sealed the deal.
Incredible. Really special. Divine timing. Learned about killing your darlings. Did you know about killing your darlings, Silk?
No, that's new for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Pierre Vickberg term. He, at least for me, he coined that term of like, you know, withholding good shots because tons of good shots are not always better than just the right amount.
I love it. Speaking on Nelson, we got a guest question from Jeff Pensero. Here we go.
Justin, do you remember the first time you came to Nelson and what you thought about it the first time you came? And I want to follow that up with what keeps you here? What's your favorite thing about living in Nelson? I feel like we're the luckiest people in the world living here. I'm really interested to hear your answer. I hope you're having a great bomb hole. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, that's a good question. Man, there's so many things about Nelson that I love. One of the aspects is, ever since I left high school, every place I went, Santa Barbara, Boulder, San Francisco, Truckee, they all like blew up within 3 or 4 years of me getting there. If I had bought real estate in all those places, I would be a wealthy man. But hordes really drive me away. And so I like to have a sense of community without it feeling like just overrun. And so I got to Nelson, and I feel like that place, I felt it early on, is like it's hard to get there. It's hard to get out of there. The airport's not, you can't really count on it very much. And it's a mission. So I don't feel like it's going to get overrun. It feels sustainable for me. And also the community, I've really grown to love it. And it's a very special place because of the people and how they look after each other. There's a sincerity and level of empathy there that's very, very unique. And then, of course, the mountains. It's endless there. You can go to spots that you think you're in Alaska. Like we filmed stuff with Gigi and Blair and Nicholas that a lot of people think, oh yeah, another Alaska shot. Sick Alaska spot. Where is that? It's right up the lake from Nelson. So, and then there's tons of snowmobile accessible stuff. There's tons of hike accessible stuff. We have Whitewater there, which is such a great resort for free riding, but especially for like side country. We filmed so many shots, so many parts of our movies in the Whitewater side country. Like you'd be astounded if we had tagged them all.
And you got Baldface Lodge.
And of course, that's the crown jewel. We got Baldface Lodge. It's such a fun place to ride.
I want to hear about the stint that you spent living in a treehouse. Describe the treehouse. Why'd you choose to live in it? What's going on with that?
So when Kate and I bought this house in Nelson, it came with a treehouse, and it's not your average treehouse. It's an actual little house that's hanging by 4 trees, by these giant steel cables under beams, and it's fully functional. It's got a shower. It's got a little kitchen, loft, and then a set of steps down to a deck underneath it. And when it's windy, if you feel like you're on a boat, because it rocks, it creaks a little bit. But yeah, I moved into there when Kate and I separated. We wanted to show up for Cassius and still co-parent on the same property, make it as easy for him as possible so you could just bounce back and forth. Kate lived in the main house. I lived in the tree house. And it was a good scenario. And Cassius loved it up there. He had his little art den in the loft. His art really exploded during that era. He would just listen to audiobooks and do art, and he's done incredible stuff with his art since then.
I love that. You see Jeff, you see JP a lot up in Nelson?
Yeah. I see Jeff a lot. Mountain biking. I get the occasional invite up to Baldface. He's brought me to the risk maturity sessions a few times, and my friend John Buffrey leads those. He's such a gem. And yeah, I owe a lot to Jeff and Paula. They've supported Absinthe. They supported me personally. I lived with them for a time, and they really extended themselves in a beautiful way.
All right, we're going to take a quick break with a message from our good friends over at Woodward Copper. Now, if you're like Chris and you got a kid, maybe this kid needs to be enrolled in a class to enhance their snowboarding abilities. There's nothing like getting taught by the best, and the coaches over at Woodward Copper got you covered. World-class coaches are going to help your child succeed in every way. With training indoors and out, on and off the snow, your child is going to have the ability to grow and maximize their ability to throw down and do insane tricks. All this and more can be found at the Woodward Copper's Park Rats session. Full day, weekend session. Get your kids some new tricks, maybe make some new friends. They're definitely going to make memories that'll last a lifetime. To learn more, head on over to coppercolorado.com.
Joy doesn't wait, and neither should you. Ikon Pass unlocks a full season of turns, trips, and memories you'll ride on all year.
Drop in on over 60 unique destinations worldwide with more park laps, more POW mornings, more après nights. Ikon Pass delivers more joy all season long.
Starting at $349 adult, claim your pass today for as low as $0 down and 0% APR with a payment plan. Terms apply.
Your best days on snow don't happen by accident. Line them up today with Ikon Pass.
Get your Ikon Pass at ikonpass.com. That's ikonpass.com.
Bombhole listeners, I got some news for you. The holidays are fast approaching, and if you ask me, Yeti is making the perfect holiday gifts. They've got leak-proof and stackable designs that are available in a rather wide selection of colors. They've got drinkware for everything drinkable. We're talking water, check. Coffee, check. Wine, check. Beer, check, etc. The list goes on. I don't need to keep going, do I? Personally, I'm going to be rocking this Rambler drinkware all winter long because A, it has rust and puncture resistant kitchen grade stainless steel, and B, it's been expertly designed to keep the cold drinks cold, just like all Yeti products. And if you're participating in, let's say, a stocking this year, perhaps, might I recommend some stocking stuffer gift ideas such as A, the shot glass, or B, a flask? If you're interested in some Yeti products, head on over to yeti.com.
Okay, let's keep things moving here. I want to get into a staple of many people's childhood, myself included. Or maybe even adulthood into adolescence. I don't know. At any rate, Fuel TV, Flip Sides, those were iconic. How did those come to be?
Well, yeah, we got approached by Fuel to make an episodic series based on the movies we were making at the time. And Shane came up with the name Flipside.
Good name, Shane. Good job.
Well, actually, the funny part was that first meeting with Cersei, and I think that it was just through mutual connections, where someone's like, you guys will never get it. And then you walk in, and then there's CJ, and it's like, hey, did you used to surf Zeros? And it's like, hell yeah, dude, what's up? And then Brewsty and then Justin's friend Petro helped make that first pilot, I guess you would call it, right?
Yeah.
And then it just seems like at the time, I mean, sometimes, you see all these shots and whatnot, but that genuine representation of everyone was pretty incredible. Because like I said before, Absinthe represented an international brotherhood, and some sisters, But it just seemed like that show, it just needed it. The world needed it at the time. And maybe we did too.
Yeah, it was so fun showing all the interstitial moments that were not feature worthy, but were just showed the personalities. That's the stuff I love seeing even more of my heroes. Like when I watched Dave Sione's early movies or Fall Line, he did a bunch of stuff for Fall Line of like him cruising around with Palmer after a big party and picking up the pieces after his house got shredded. You see the personality of people so much, and you want that as when you look up to your heroes, and it doesn't come out in a dialogue, in an interview the way it does when you're just like on the scene and hanging out and living the life and waking up early and going through the struggles together. And we had our 16 cameras, but we also had our digi cameras to capture all those interstitial moments. And that's just gold. And we have so much of that still that we're working into other things.
Well, also, if you think about flip side, it was on Fuel TV, which is a bit more of a mainstream audience. And I think that giving a mainstream audience the right glimpse into what snowboarding is, who we are, I thought it did a good job representing snowboarding to a mainstream audience is important, And did you notice that did you get a lot of people that knew you guys from the Fuel TV? Like, did it have a lot of traction?
It did get a lot of traction, and I think a lot of people watched our movies that hadn't been into it until they saw Flipside. And I still have people like recognize me on the street. It's crazy, and they're like, "Thanks for making the movies you made."
That's so cool, and that also kind of reminds me of the heyday where you guys, you're selling thousands of DVDs. You're doing Flipside, but then another thing we haven't talked about that is a critical part of Absinthe Films is the legendary premiere tours. Like, I'd hear Bodie and Shane, they'd get back for, I just did the Euroleg on the double-decker bus, like 25 tour stops. Why did you guys ultimately end up doing these massive premiere tours for your movies?
Oh man, they were so fun to do, and the audiences just loved it. It was the perfect way to get together before the season to celebrate the excitement together about what the winter was going to be about. It was like the perfect springboard for what was to come. And on the European side, they went big. They went big with those buses and like back-to-back events, like from city to city to city. And we did it to a degree in North America too, but it's just so much more spread out. So you can't really.
The Europe vibe with Brewsty and Vlad at the helm, the bus was called the Black Pearl. So, it really, if anyone ever has a chance to do something like that, they definitely should, but not too many times.
Not too many. Just the right amount.
Yeah, just the right amount.
Do you think you did too many or just the right amount?
Just the right amount.
Yeah.
Vlad and Brewsty, they would go on those things religiously, and they were just machines for sure. But like Justin said, the U.S. and Canada is just different because everything's so spread out that, if you were going to do like the East Coast to the West Coast, there's such a lag in between.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think also I was talking to Brewsty, and he was mentioning that as DVD sales started to taper off a little bit and things started to go to iTunes and YouTube and whatnot, there was an emphasis to create like an experience for people pretty intentionally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really has lasting power. People have a lot of memories from those experiences. It makes a much more solid impact to see a movie that's important to your snowboarding trajectory with 1,000 like-minded, equally hyped enthusiasts. It has a real lasting power.
And the weird thing is, we've talked about this before, but it was a time where, it's strange to say, but things were more important, because there was just less of it. So it seems like those were just the fitting, pinnacle of each year, where it was like, nowadays with social media, you can see clips every week that are insane. But back then when you had to wait till the fall, and then, there was only 7 other movies worldwide, then it was just like, damn, what were those guys doing all year? And like you said, that feeling of our tour, just bringing everyone together. I think we've talked about it, Nowadays, there's like 20 movies coming out. You can go home and be like, yeah, I don't even remember what I watched. Like, it was pretty cool.
We have Holden Barth, who does our social media, made a playlist to 109 videos that came out last year.
109?
109.
Wow.
Yeah. different landscape. I mean, back it's 5, 7. If you're in Mac Dog, Absinthe Standard, there's a handful of them. You know, it's different landscape.
Legendary tour.
Yeah. So then after doing Flipside, which was, you know, so focused on our crew, the Absinthe crew, when we started the Microdose series, the idea was to have it be not just about the Absinthe crew and to like cast a broader net and to like tell snowboarding stories about the icons of the people who got us here and not just our own crews. So we started with people like Danny Cass and Torstein and Jamie and, you know, people that and Kimmy and Elena and Hannah and people that some of them had nothing to do with our discography, our history, but were important stories to tell. And that has been a really beautiful thing to do too.
Do you enjoy the deep dive biographical storytelling as much as filming, dangling from a chopper, filming AK and whatever else?
It's a different kind of love. It's a very different kind of enjoyment. I love talking with the people that experienced it, but also the people that experienced it with them and telling it from multiple perspectives, not just say Jamie's perspective. You know, his Microdose is mostly through the eyes of the people around him, and the people were inspired by him and the people that participated in it with him. And I think that brings a point of differentiation to have it not just being told by one perspective, but by multiple perspectives. And yeah.
Can I just derail for a second? Well, I don't know who I'm asking. I'm just doing it. Do you read a lot?
I used to. I don't have time to read a lot now, but I'm looking forward to getting back to it.
You're pretty damn articulate. How are you so articulate? That's what I'm getting at. I'm serious.
I don't know.
You don't know? It's not good. Okay, I was hoping it was reading. Damn it.
I used to read a lot. But, yeah.
Is it being? Oh yeah, it is. Yeah,
it's the Swiss factor,
isn't it?
for sure.
Damn it.
Maybe, you know, speaking more than one language.
Yeah. Shane, you speak any other languages?
Yeah, but just on the inside.
Well, what's going on at Absinthe TV? What's happening with that?
Well, I'll take you back to the beginning to 6 years ago. We had this unicorn moment where Samsung approached us, and I mean, they were the biggest electronics company in the world, and they were starting this new thing back then called a fast channel, free ad supported television. So every Samsung, every smart TV comes with 100 free channels, and so that's grown now. Like most electronics companies have that, and so we're given this opportunity, and we had no idea what we were getting into, but we said, yeah, sure, we'll do it. And obviously we don't have enough movies to have a 24/7 channel of just Absinthe movies, but you add Flipside content, you broaden the scope to include other genres that are also appealing to snowboarders, people like us. So we represent surf, skate, snow, art, music, and adventure. We curate a lot of content from other people who are making great content that deserves to be out there. So we put all of our Microdose stuff up there. We put all of our movies up there. And it's all free. And now you can catch it in 72 countries all around the world.
Get a lot of eyeballs.
Gets a lot of eyeballs, yeah.
Damn, come a long way from making calendars. Long way.
What about how do you get onto Absinthe TV if you want to see it?
So you just go to Absinthe.TV. You can either just watch it on your laptop, you can download it to your Android or your iPhone, or you could watch it on Smart TV, on Vizio, Android TV, Fire TV, Apple TV. Yeah, it's just giving us this platform to amplify great content that motivates people to get outdoors and enjoy the natural world. And also open their minds to other concepts that they might not run across on their own.
Love it. Love to see that. I got a note here that says, held at gunpoint. Maybe you could elaborate on that.
This trip that Craig and Dano invited me up to Island Lake Lodge, the early 90s. Adam Metterman was going to come too. And he, for some reason, didn't materialize. But we got into Coeur d'Alene, and it was raining, and conditions weren't looking that great. And so we're just killing time in Coeur d'Alene. And Dan Donnelly is just this super gregarious, awesome human. And he was riding for K2 at the time. He had a signature board with K2. It was probably 92. And he had travel budget from K2, and he's like, I'm gonna buy a handgun. And so he got one of those Dirty Harry, I don't know revolvers or guns at all, but like the biggest handgun you can get. He bought one, and we were out there just shooting target practice, and then heading back to the hotel room. I was driving, and Dano was in the passenger seat, and Craig and Dave Frizee, the filmer, were in another car. And Dano was drinking a beer in the front seat, and he was practicing his, like, what do you call it when you flip the revolver around your finger? He's practicing that in the front seat. Pull up to a red light. Cop pulls up right beside us, and he's practicing his flip, and looks over, sees it's a cop, and tries to hide it by taking a sip of his beer. And they pulled us over, of course, and had shotguns out, and they're like, it was my first time at gunpoint. And but he just had such a silver tongue. He had them like laughing and clapping him on the back, let him keep the gun, like nothing happened. Nothing. He just knew the right thing to say at the right time. Just such a great human. And so lucky, but like so vulnerable. Shotguns at you in Coeur d'Alene. Oh, sketchy. But then we went up to Island Lake Lodge and scored like great conditions, and got some of my best photos of Craig on that trip. But yeah, it's those down days that you just need to survive.
Legendary. One last thing before we get into hot takes. I was thinking about, you talk about Twist earlier. And a lot of times we talk about vintage outerwear brands that are no longer around. You think about Dub gets talked about. I mean, you hear Sessions, things like that. But I feel like Twist doesn't get the shine it deserves. I don't know. It just seemed like such an iconic brand. It was a little before my time. Maybe you could just share a little bit about your time at Twist and what your role was there.
My role at Twist was to put together the team. So initially for just Twist, but then we also added other brands. We developed Titan, which was our more mainstream brand, and Tuesday, which was our women's outerwear brand. And I got to be the TM for those three brands. And I got to put together the teams and do all the photo shoots and make the team videos and stuff. And I got to TM some of the most amazing riders in my history. And it was just so beautiful to be able to be the one to pick the people and have the support, the financial support to be able to do that. And so yeah, some of the people for initially on Twist, we were like Adam Merriman and Jay Nelson and J2 and JP Martin and so many more. But then we also added Titan, and that I got to add Mark Frank Montoya and Kurt Wastel and Daniel Frank for a minute, and Sean Palmer, Travis Parker, and then for the girls' side, it was Tina Basic and Shannon Dunn and Eva Wojcik and Yeni Vara, and then we also developed the Twist side of things a bit, and we added Ingmar on there, and had some pretty amazing trips with all those folks.
Special time in snowboarding back then, huh?
Yeah.
Exciting crew, exciting characters. Good shit. Okay, we're going to get into hot takes. Here we go. Are you prepared? Do you feel ready, Justin?
No.
All right, that's perfect. First question. Who is your GOAT? Your greatest of all time, both male and female?
Well, I'm going to be starting super unoriginal with, Zoe's really the best female snowboarder, I think, so far. It's astounding to see where women's snowboarding has come just in the last couple of years. It's mind-blowing. And she's leading the charge in terms of what I've seen. So that one's pretty easy and unoriginal, because I'm sure that's what most people are saying, because it is.
Cool.
Yeah. And the male side, for me, it's a lineage that goes from Craig to Terrier to Nicholas, because there's a through line in those three. Terrier was so affected by Craig's riding, and Nicholas was so affected by Terrier's riding, and then also thereby was also affected by Craig's. That to me is the lineage of goats.
Pretty good answer.
I would agree.
Normally I make people pick one, but that's a pretty damn good answer. Okay, next question. Big question here. Steel or powder?
Powder.
Damn. Okay. Who's your most admired snowboard filmmaker?
Dave Sione.
Great answer. Who's got your favorite style ever on a snowboard?
I'm going to give it to Gigi.
Solid. Who's got your favorite method?
Jamie.
Who's got your favorite turn?
Bole.
Favorite video ever made?
The Garden.
Damn, these are good answers. Best place to snowboard?
Haines, Alaska, Buns of Steel.
Favorite board graphic ever?
Ouija board.
Sorry, I don't know what that is. I'm embarrassed to say. Which one's that? Yeah, you're looking
Burton
at me.
Twin.
Okay.
The question marks on the bottom.
Okay, copy. Got it. I'm embarrassed. Okay, next question. Worst trick?
Worst trick, mashed potato.
Can you elaborate on that?
It's called a bloody Dracula.
Okay, got it. The double grab where you go behind the back.
Yeah, but when you spin, it turns the worst trick into something pretty rad.
Okay, straight air. So straight air.
Yeah, straight air.
Got it.
Yeah.
The back scratcher of snowboarding.
I got a picture of one of them in one of my calendars.
Dream heliboarding crew. You got 3 seats. Riding pal. Who's going with you?
MFM, Gigi, and Nicholas.
Dream sponsor. Anything in the world, doesn't have to be snowboard related.
Quimbola, man.
Will you tell us what it is?
It was an outerwear brand of the 80s.
Last question. Worst trend?
No high backs.
Solid. All right, another addition to Hot Takes. We're going to ask maybe the most hard-hitting question of the show. Your Mount Rushmore top 4 moments from Absinthe. Justin, go.
Top 4 moments. I would say the clip of MFM ollieing with his coat open that Shane shot. Vole's dam ride session. The Hemsedal session.
Damn, that's a good one.
With Tristan and DCP and Gigi and Roman and JP. And Chad's Gap. Travis and Roman.
That's pretty good, Justin. It's pretty damn good. Wow. Shane, you're a part of a lot of this. I'd like to hear yours as well, in addition.
You're saying top 20?
No, 4.
Okay, 4.
There's 4 faces on Rushmore.
I would say that Chad's Gap will always go down as top. I can't really say which trick was it, but Chad's Gap for sure. I really think that, I mean, it's just so hard to say at this point, but every method of Nico.
Okay.
I mean, that has been unreal. I would say the Hemsedal situation with Roman goes down as all time for sure. And I don't know what order these are all in. This might be number
There's just
3.
4 faces on there. There's really no order.
But and then I got to say, you know, it was a really incredible moment was Chris Coulter stomping Rocker's Gap.
Cab 9?
Yep.
Okay.
That was just not supposed to happen for anyone who had retired, you know, out of snowboarding. Come back and just...
World's flattest landing.
Yeah. Enormous to flat landing.
Yeah. Downhill
stomp.
takeoff.
Retired for a few years already.
What about Ozzie Henning's tomahawk down the landing of Rocker? that actually might be there too.
That should win an award.
Yeah, that was violent.
There's so many though, because there's also Roman's double line up in Haynes. That was just unreal. I think.
What about the Eagle Pass freaking 100-foot jump? The Eagle Pass Austin Sweeten front 3.
Oh, I mean,
Sweeten Miller,
biggest jump anywhere for sure.
Well, it's unfair to have only 4 faces on Rushmore.
It's true.
I know. I think
I can't believe none of you guys said bunny suit. The bunny suit, really? The bunny suit.
I can't believe you said 4.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just like to harass you guys for all the ones.
I mean, honestly, I've said it for years. You could go down just this top 4 list today and go film in those places and get the sickest things ever. Because, for example, the Moraine Bowl stuff with Roman, those are just ridiculous. From the heli, he's just floating forever off a natural windlip. That to me seems just like the most quintessential snowboarding moment.
Dude, what about when Gigi shot off the thing, like, and flew into the abyss? You filmed that, right? I remember talking to you about that. Can you let's talk? We got to talk about that for a quick second. What was it like when you were filming Gigi come down Alaskan line and he got shot out of a cannon 800 feet to the bottom? It was so confusing because I couldn't imagine that he could be dropping for so far, and I thought I was gonna watch him die because I was like I definitely had scoped everything there was, but then suddenly he's falling forever out of the sky. And I was like, did I miss something? And it's weird that he got locked in with so much speed and couldn't speed check. It was a really scary moment. And I can't believe that he walked away from that. If he wasn't so light and he's just got so lucky.
Well, that's another one in itself. In Gigi Land, when he does the sickest front 7 of all time. Oh. I mean.
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah. I can't believe you guys didn't have that on the Rushmore.
Well, Rushmore has gotten a lot more faces. Let's put it that way. You know
what I would put on my Rushmore is Bodie's just 12 part. That was his like coming of age.
Yeah.
You know, Bodie has arrived. Gucci man. Come on. I
Which
can't
was
believe
nuts
you guys
because,
didn't have that on your Rushmore.
his first time up in AK, that was just the most ridiculous thing when his first run, he just had a rough time, goes to the top and falls asleep on the peak like takes a nap. We're all messing around, and then wakes up and probably didn't fall for the rest of the trip. Like that was the way he did it. He just had to take a nap, get in sync, in sync with the energy.
Yep.
Forever. But that's the thing about the Rushmore top 4, because, I think with each decade alone has its own top 10,
Sucks there's only 4 faces.
I think if we're going to fuck up the mountain, let's put a lot of faces on there, guys.
I got a guy. I got a Rushmore guy. You can put a couple more faces up there. So, damn, it's been real. A couple more questions for you, Justin. First, what's your setup? What we ask people boards. Why don't we do board and camera setup? What are you running?
My dream camera setup is to shoot my Super 16. I just love shooting film and waiting for it, and just doing your best. And then when you get the footage back, it's like Christmas.
Have you ever botched an insanely heavy moment and got the roll back and been like, God damn it?
No.
Damn, he's just that good. I love to see it. Troy Eckert talked about it already, blowing a bunch of rolls. Anyway, what's your snowboard setup?
I'm not very picky with my snowboard setup at all. I'll ride anything as long as it's regular stance. I even once rode a goofy stance bolted setup on a POW day. I just rode it backwards all day and had a great time. I'm not picky.
Okay. All right. What's next for Justin Hostynek?
Making lots more Absinthe TV content. Making more great merch with some of the most iconic photographs of mine, of all the individuals who've taken them. Ollie Gagnon, Andy Wright, Patrick Armbruster. We're gonna keep going with that. Sean Sullivan, Scott Sullivan.
For the people listening, what am I wearing?
That's a moment from Rick Skronson where Ingemar sent it to a whole nother level, possibly the most iconic snowboarding moment in history. It was just outside of Rick Skronson in Sweden, and he drew a little icon of seagulls on his board and just sent it to the moon. I was his TM at the time, and he really was such a standout rider, and it was beautiful to be there for that moment. And all the other photographers were shooting it, facing the other direction. But I wanted to show more of like the takeoff and how far, because he landed really far down that landing. He didn't land at the top. So it was shot heard around the world.
And where can people find this merch?
AbsintheFilms.com.
Get yourself some hoodies. Get yourself looking fresh. Good stuff on there. Love to see it. Really excited to see everything that you've got coming down the pipeline. You guys kind of blew it on the Mount Rushmore, but other than that, I think it was a pretty good show. Silk, did you have fun?
Yeah, this was a great show.
Shane, did you have fun?
Yeah, great time.
Hostynek, do you have a good time?
I had a really good time.
Nice. Silk, favorite moment of the show?
Cable cams.
Okay, cable cams.
Learned a lot.
That was great.
Thinking about setting some up myself.
My least favorite part of the show is the Mount Rushmore's takes. Just kidding. That was great. All right, one last question. You want to throw any thank yous before we put a bow on this bad Larry?
Yeah, I've got some thank yous. Big thank you to Arlie Carsons, who's been in the trenches with me for the last 5 years to build Absinthe TV. He's I met him snowboarding way back in the 90s on a heli trip. He used to ride for the Mervyn crew, and he's quite an exceptional human, and he's dug deep to make Absinthe TV what it is. So big thank you to Arlie. I want to say thanks also to David Vladica for holding up on the European side. We couldn't have gotten here without him. And I want to thank Savina for supporting me in what I do. I also want to thank Kate and Cassius for supporting me all along.
All right. I think we did it. Silk, who do you think's going to do it? Who do you want to have do it?
Justin, you're going to take us out of the show here.
We do a sign off at the end of every show. So it's kind of like, thanks for listening. Have a great day. Use your own words.
Yeah, don't
take
worry
us out
about
of the show.
No stress.
Throw a bow on it.
It's been a pleasure to be on the bomb hole and get to share my story. Thanks for listening.
Beautiful.
Yeah.